Welcome to the Subway Conversation Chat. My name is Jamie Malloy, and I'm here to discuss some New York baseball with you all and my co-host, Joe Dalio. So without any further hesitation, here's Joe. Hey, Joe, how you doing?
There I am. Yes, I'm doing great. How you doing, Jamie?
Good.
Excellent. We got a Subway series going on during the Subway Conversation Chat.
How
So
awesome is that? I
exciting
wouldn't want it
stuff,
any other way.
right? It's perfect. The only sad thing is it's the last game of the Subway series, unless somehow, some way they meet maybe later in the season. I don't know. We'll
Right.
see.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Joe, I want to congratulate you last night on the Mets winning game one last night, but I was surely expecting some more home runs since it's such a home run hitter's park, and then they got to pop the ball out to the short right field porch.
You know what? And I joke about that all the time. And 99% of the time, it's true. You pop the ball up to right field, especially in July, and the ball is way out. Jeff McNeil crushed the ball to right field that would have gone out, and somehow it held up that Soto was able to catch it on the warning track. So, McNeil popped that ball. He not only just popped it up, he crushed it, and the wind must be blowing in from right field tonight. So very rare that the pop up to right field actually comes back. So
Yeah.
bad luck for Jeff McNeil, which he's been full of bad luck all season. But usually that's true, and I say it all the time. I've been saying it for years, and that's what makes watching games from Yankee Stadium that much more fun.
Mhm. Let's see.
Already
So,
two
Joe,
home runs in tonight's game.
yep. So, Joe, would you like to get us started out with some Mets news?
All right, sure. Not much going on as far as transactions and things like that. The only thing going on with that is just a bunch of middle relievers that I've never heard of. So I'm probably much of our audience hasn't either. So I'm going to leave that. We'll talk about some injury news as far as people going out and as far as people coming back in, perhaps. Unfortunately, the Mets placed Christian Scott on the 15-day IL. Unfortunately, it looks like it could be a lot longer than that. He had left, he pitched the other night and he left that game, excuse me, with a UCL strain. Now, you hear UCL strain with a young pitcher, that unfortunately rings alarm bells for Tommy John. So hopefully I'm being a little too pessimistic with this, and maybe he just needs some time away. But hopefully he's not going to be gone for long term and require Tommy John, but that's potential. And the Mets have been very, fortunate this year as far as pitching, injuries or lack of them, per se. They had a couple of guys, a couple of starters that started the year on the IL, but have come back. And Christian Scott is one of the first in a while, and knock on wood, that it stays that way. Speaking of starting pitchers starting the season on the IL, there's one pitcher that was actually that was scheduled to be the ace of this staff that hasn't pitched a game yet, but is this close. We're talking about Kodai Senga. His debut with the Mets is scheduled for Friday against the Braves. So very optimistic about that. I read an article with ESPN, and they're saying they're hoping to get 5 innings, maybe 85 pitches out of that first start. But very encouraging news for the Mets. You hate to see somebody like Christian Scott go down, but to get Kodai Senga back finally. And this was the later target. I mean, originally he was supposed to come back earlier, but when his rehab got pushed back, they were talking about late July, and here we are in late July, and he's pretty much on schedule. So hopefully he could stay on that schedule and, add some good depth and quality to that starting rotation. Other guys coming back, Reed Garrett, he's been gone for a little bit. He should be throwing some bullpen sessions by the weekend, they're saying. Sean Reed Foley, another a solid part of that middle relief core. He's going to begin rehab start tomorrow, I believe, with Brooklyn A-ball. And also potentially coming soon, some news here. We're not talking about a minor league pitcher we don't know, but I'm sure you've heard of a guy named Jackie Bradley Jr. Played with the Red Sox for a while and had some good seasons. I don't know what he's been doing lately, but the Mets signed him to a minor league contract. So, one of the things they've been talking about is adding maybe some outfield depth. Already, a decent outfield, but just adding maybe a little bit more depth there. So again, Bradley will start in the minors, and we'll see perhaps if he can, get some playing time with the Mets here. So that's the basics of it. As far as the, people coming in, people going out. All right, so I'll send it over to you, Jamie, and let us know what's going on there in Yankee land.
All right, we'll start out with the injury report. Thank you, Joe. We're going to start out with outfielder and everybody's Yankees favorite prospect, deemed to be the Juan Soto in waiting, Jasson Dominguez. The Yankees' number one top prospect took live batting practice at the Yankees complex in Tampa, Florida yesterday. Manager Aaron Boone said that Dominguez is now scheduled to join AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre and could be playing games within a week. Once he's healthy, he's eligible to be called up, Boone said yesterday, and he quoted, "I'm not looking for a certain number of plate appearances. When the need arises, he's in play." Dominguez, the number 25 prospect in baseball per MLB Pipeline, had been recovering from Tommy John surgery performed in September 2023 when he sustained a significant strain of his left oblique while playing in AAA. Number 2, we have Giancarlo Staten Island, New York reference. The Yankees expect to come up with a decision, hopefully, when, or whether or not Stanton will be ready to play with the team by July 27th or 28th. Well, you've done one thing you've done well, Yankees, is coddle him. He should be playing now. I get it, but
yeah, how long are you gonna wait?
Yeah, ready to play with the team by July 27th to 28th. It is not determined yet if he will go on a minor league rehab assignment. Stanton said that he needs to stack a few more good days before that determination is made. And we have a quote here from Aaron Boone. "It's about the stamina, building it over and over each day," manager Aaron Boone said on July 20th. "I think he feels really good, but getting that volume under his belt to where he comes back, it's ready to roll." Last year, Stanton played in just one minor league rehab game before returning to face big league pitching. Since the Yankees would not need Stanton to play the field, he could prepare with high-tech devices like the Traject pitching machine. "The level of things you're able to replicate now really do speed that clock up," Boone said. So now let's turn it back over to you, Joe, for some more Mets news. Joe?
All right, so let's talk about some stats here and some things going on. Not a bad week for the Mets. They went 3-2 before today's game. Now, they had a 4-game series in Miami. We would have liked to probably take 3 out of 4 against the worst team in the National League, or one of the worst teams. I don't know if they have a worse record than Colorado, but still, I think it would have been, a 3 out of 4 would have been better. They went 2-2 in that series, and of course, they had the win against the Yankees last night. They're going to win that season series against the Yankees because they're 3-0 in the series so far. And even if the Yankees win tonight, it'll be 3-1 Mets. So that doesn't happen too often. So that's a milestone there. So they scored 16 runs and gave up 16 runs this week. So it was pretty much light hitting and very good pitching. And we'll give some examples of that here, some of the better hitting stats. So really, 3-3 was the average score there. The hottest hitter is one I was just kind of making fun of a little bit, Jeff McNeil, who hit the ball hard. Now, he's been hitting the ball hard for weeks. And again, he is hard luck. And a lot of those hard hit balls were getting caught for outs or getting caught on the warning track. And, you know, we've said in baseball forever that when a player continues to hit the ball hard, those type of things even out. And let's just say this week they started to even out for him 5 games, and Jeff McNeil had 4 home runs. So, you know, that's proof right there. He should have had a home run tonight. I swore it was going to be one. He swore it was going to be one. And that right field pop up at Yankee Stadium actually was the 1 out of 100 that didn't come to be. But again, as far as these things evening out, even yesterday's game, he had this little dinker, you know, that rolled down the third base line and never even made it to third base, that he got a hit from. So again, things may be starting to even out for him. Now, here's some other stats for him. Again, 5 games this week, 8 RBIs Jeff McNeil had in those 5 games. He had a 400 average and a 1612 OPS. So awesome stuff there. Other hitting highlights here: Francisco Lindor had a couple of home runs, 3 RBIs. He batted 300 with a 1090 OPS. Pete Alonso didn't have a home run or an RBI, but he hit 316, 803 OPS. So certainly getting on base. So Lindor and Alonso both have 19 home runs now. I mean, usually you would think Pete Alonso would be far and away the leader, but they're tied. And I believe Nimmo has 16, if I'm not mistaken. Now, Nimmo did not have any RBIs this week, but he still leads the team with 63. Okay, again, even though he had a goose egg this week. Jose Iglesias and DJ Stewart each hit over 400 this week with an 1143 and 1025 OPS respectively. Now, Iglesias played all 5 games. DJ Stewart played only 3. Now, I've read some rumors talking about DJ Stewart here that if Jackie Bradley does, you know, make the major league team here, that DJ could be the odd man out. So, you know, we'll kind of see. So if he gets on a hot streak, though, and hits like he did this week, then perhaps the Mets will have another decision. But, you know, other guys playing well, too. You know, Tyrod Taylor, and I know it's Tyrone Taylor, but I like to call him Tyrod for the ex-Bills quarterback. But he had a home run tonight, and he's been consistent. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see, you know, what they do with that. So, you know, mostly non-productive hitting, I'm calling it this week. Again, the Mets only scored 16 runs. You know, you got some high averages there that I mentioned, but not driving those runs home. So, you know, that needs to change. I mean, it's kind of been the opposite. The averages haven't been as high, but they're getting the runs in. So this week, maybe not so much. JD Martinez was an exception to that. He only hit 211 this week, but had a couple RBIs as well. So let's talk about pitching a little bit. Again, the quality starts continue. Luis Severino, 6 innings pitched, did not give up a run, only gave up 2 hits in those 6 innings, 7 strikeouts, .83 whip, and they only hit .095 against him. So top start of the week for the Mets starting pitchers there. Jose Quintana pitched yesterday's game against the Yankees, and he went 5 innings, only gave up a run, 3 hits. Now, he gave up 5 walks, but 3 of those were pitching around Aaron Judge. So, you know, they were basically intentional, unintentional walks. David Peterson, it seems like every start this guy fights and struggles to get outs and you know, get out unscathed, but he keeps doing that. Again, 5 innings pitched, only gave up 2 earned runs, did give up 6 hits, and got the win in the game. So seems like every start he's got a battle, but he gets it done. Sean Manaea went 5 innings, but he got hit hard his last start. 5 earned runs and 8 hits in that start. He's currently pitching now. And looking for a score. Yeah, he's given up 2 runs so far in the first 4 innings here. So, or they're in the bottom of the 4th. So, but a nice rebound start from Sean Manaea today if it continues to go decently. In the bullpen, Daniel Nunez and Jose Butto continue solid. Again, the Mets got Phil Maton from Tampa. recently, and he's proving himself to be a great pickup here. This week he pitched 3 innings and only gave up a hit, so solid outings there. Jake Diekman's been a little inconsistent, but he pitched 2 1/3 without giving up a hit. Edwin Diaz, on and off, he gave up a run in 2 innings, but he did get 2 saves for the 3 wins that the Mets had. So, can't complain about that. So when you look at the current situation for the Mets, they're 52-48, which is good, again, considering where they could have been at this point. They are currently the 3rd wild card team. If the season was to end today, the Mets would be in the playoffs, playing most likely the Brewers. So it's good to know they're a half game up on the Padres, and the Diamondbacks and Pirates are within a game and a half. Now the Pirates won today, so that's a game right now. So still teams behind them. They're only, I think, a game or so. I didn't look as who was above them, but only about a game or game and a half difference between the Cardinals, and they're not too far even from the Braves in the top wild card spot there. So it could go either way. They're a 5-game winning streak from, being at the top of the wild card standings, and a 5-game losing streak from being a few games out of it. So hopefully they can continue to play at this pace here. So when you look at what's upcoming, you got tonight's game against the Yankees that they're up by a run at this point, a 4-game series against the Braves, and then a 3-game series against the Twins. All of those games are at home against good teams. I mean, the Braves obviously not playing up to the potential that we thought they would at this point, but still, playing decent ball anyway, and a tough team to play. And same with the Twins. The Twins can be a little inconsistent, but they just beat the Phillies 2 out of 3 here, and are going to be a tough team to play against as well. Now, again, the Mets has had struggles at home this year, although they are playing better. Granted, they were playing teams like the Rockies and easier teams. So we'll see how they can do against good teams like the Braves and the Twins. In that 7-game homestand, I would certainly accept 4-3. If they could do 5-2 or better, that would be awesome. But 4-3 against those teams, would at least probably keep them in the situation that they're in now. So again, not a bad week for the Mets. Over 500. Maybe could have been better against the Marlins, but again, they're playing well against the Yankees, even win or lose tonight. I think they can be very satisfied about their performance in that season series with the Yankees. So that's some of the statistical information going on with the Mets. What do you got for us there as far as the Yankees this week?
Well, we got a Juan Soto story. So pull up a chair and have a seat, Joe. Listen, because it's story time.
All right, I'll listen.
It was already dramatic last season when Shohei Ohtani became an LA Dodger in 2023. Juan Soto in 2024 is saying, "Hold my beer." The New York Yankees star will test free agency during the winter. It was exposed for saying that he would like to join Ohtani and become a Dodger.
Uh-oh.
The Yankees must make a quick decision on re-signing Soto or let him go to make way for star prospect Jason Dominguez. Still, the goal for both organizations haven't changed. Win the World Series this fall. So, Joe, what would you do if you were Soto's agent or Brian Cashman, the Yankees GM?
Well, that surprises me a little bit because I always got the impression that Soto, was all intent on staying in New York. And, if I'm the Yankees, I still do everything I can to make that happen. He's definitely been a jolt, to their offense. Now, again, I know they've slumped lately, but it's certainly not his fault. Just injuries and, Stanton Island and people like that not being there, it certainly doesn't help the offense. They seem to be, stepping it up a notch lately. But again, if I'm the Yankees, I do everything I can to keep Juan Soto. Again, if I'm Juan Soto, I'm thinking this is a great situation for me. Again, the Dodgers, I know the salary, you know, situation and hard, the cap, the tax or whatever is a joke in Major League Baseball, and teams can go over that. But I don't know how feasible it would be for somebody like Soto to go to the Dodgers. I mean, with Otani and, and Betts and Freeman and all those highly paid players there, I don't know if they'd be able to take on somebody, and give Soto what he's looking for. So we've said it on this show all season long. I think, for Soto, the best place for him to be is in New York. For the Yankees, the best free agent player, I think, to keep would be Soto. I think it's just an excellent match on both sides. And I would be very surprised if it didn't happen. And I would be, again, hearing something like that surprises me that Soto would say that. But I think I would be shocked still if Soto does not get signed by the Yankees and is not there for the next few seasons.
Yeah, but right, he is a great player, Joe, but what did we also talk about? The Yankees got to be careful with the salary thing too, because
Mhm.
Hal Steinberger said he wanted to lower the payroll, and you still got Jason Dominguez waiting in the wings too, who is basically Soto in waiting if he stays healthy, and he gave a small sample size of that last year against the Astros. So the question is, are they going to be able to re-sign him and be able to install Dominguez into the lineup at the same time? Is it
Yeah,
possible?
that'll be a decision. I think it is possible. I think again the Yankees have to be careful with who they sign now, just so they can have what they need to go after Soto. And again, you got the Dominguez factor too. I didn't really think about that, but you're 100% right about that. And certainly at this point anyway, Dominguez would come at a much cheaper price, based on his experience. So I still say if I'm the Yankees, I go after Soto and you figure that out later. But at least, you got a backup there. And then if you don't get Soto, you could still get somebody else in here to make a difference. And, that would come at a cheaper price as well. But I'd still make Soto the number one priority. If I was Cashman, I could be wrong, but I think you keep him, and then you worry about how, you get Dominguez in the lineup and how you move things around.
And then you worry about trying to lower the payroll, because Steinberger was quoted. We talked about this on our show, that he doesn't want to win a championship with a $300 million payroll. He said he just doesn't want that.
Right. Which is, as a Yankee fan, I think that's great to hear. You don't want financial irresponsibility, right? So, I would appreciate that if I'm a Yankee fan, but you also want a World Series too. And again, you don't do it irresponsibly. I think you can still make it work. And if you can't, then you move on from Soto. But I think it's in Soto's best interest and the Yankees to try to make that happen.
Yeah, and it can, because think about it, I think they can buy out some veteran players that are having not so good seasons and are on their last leg, like Anthony Rizzo.
Mm-hmm.
They could buy him out and he retires.
Right.
Which that's probably going to happen after his leg injury. I think his career is done.
Probably, unfortunately.
And I think they could buy out DJ LeMahieu too, because he's getting older now. He hasn't looked the same since his injury, and he's got a 5-year, $90 million contract. So that can help lower the payroll too.
I was going to say those were the two prime players I would think of as far as being able to do that. Some big contracts and kind of, no offense to the guys, dead weight. LeMahieu's playing a little bit better now, but again, nowhere near where he was, before the injury. So players like that. I mean, what about even a guy named I don't know how much longer Stanton has, but I mean, the dude never plays, so
But
is that
but when he has played, though, he's looked like the old Giancarlo Stanton before he
right?
got hurt. He's definitely played a lot better than he did last year at this time when he got hurt.
That's true, but again, that's something that maybe you got to think about.
And
And
he worked his butt off though in the off season to get to this point. He was dieting, he was training hard, he lost weight, and you could
mhm,
see it was paying off that he was playing much better, being more in shape than he was. He said he was in the best shape of probably in his career after doing all that off season grind he put himself through. And
wow, and he did get off to a very good start, for the season as well.
yeah, because after last year, he could have just bagged and said whatever, but he worked, but he was willing to pound the pavement to better himself and get back to form again, and he did. It's just unfortunately those hamstrings keep nagging him. But
Yeah.
here's another thing though. You don't probably know the show, but Gleyber Torres is going to be a free agent too.
Okay, and that might be a decision you have to make as well.
And I don't know if they're going to pay him or get rid of him too. But see, at least with him, he's still in his prime. I don't think he's going to retire. I think other teams will still get him. The two other guys I mentioned, I think their careers are over, but at least Torres' career isn't over just after the Yankees. So,
Right, I agree.
So, but anyway, let's talk about the Yankees. Aaron Boone, our manager, and his protege Carlos Mendoza, who I still like him, Joe. I know he's with your Mets, but I loved that guy when he was our bench coach.
I think more Mets fans are happy with him than not. Personally,
didn't I tell you on the show you would like him?
Yeah, and I do. Personally, I think he's doing well, and I'll let you get back to your stats there. But the number one thing that I like about him, and I even read somebody that was saying this, is he's so many managers go by the numbers and I'm trying to think of the word now, but like all
analytics.
There you go, analytics, and he does too, but he's also not afraid to go by his gut. And, again, the analytics mean a lot. And, I believe strongly in analytics and all modern day managers do. But I love the fact that sometimes he just ignores the analytics and goes with the gut, and right or wrong, he can live with that decision. So, yeah, so far, personally, I'm very happy with, what he's doing so far as well.
Well, no, you'll like Mets fans like him too, because he's bringing the Yankee mentality with him to the Mets. That's what he's doing, serving under Aaron Boone, and he acts just like Aaron Boone. When there's a bad call, he's 3 steps out of the dugout, ready to argue. Who do you think he learned that from? Right.
Right, and he does stick up for his players. There was a couple of bad strike calls in a recent game, and he didn't run out of the dugout. He flew out of the dugout, arguing with the umpire. He got ejected from that game, but. Yeah, he's doing a lot of things right. So,
Joe, did you know his nickname? Some people call him the Venezuelan Earl Weaver.
There you
They
go.
call him that.
Never heard that before, but that's cool.
Anyway, now obviously he's obviously got a little more of a softer touch. Not like Earl Weaver back in the day where you could really be a bear. He's got that. He knows when to tone it down and connect with the players too.
Exactly.
Yeah. But before the Yankees home game anyway against the Tampa Bay Rays last Sunday, manager Aaron Boone was asked if he speak to a struggling player bearing any speculation of being traded or on deadline week. And I love this answer here. I think a manager should respond to this because I think you don't want to put pressure on your players. Mm-hmm. So we have a quote right here where he says, no, Boone responded per SNY, every Mets fan's favorite station. Mm-hmm. That's, you start getting in speculation, a hypothetical is this and that. So no. Look, to varying degrees, everyone's aware of where we are in the calendar and the nature of the business, Boone continued, then there's going to be talks, and it affects people in different ways. Some people it drives and motivates and eat it up and love it. Some guys it can add a layer of anxiety too.
Right.
The Yankees have sent clear signals on addressing their elite reliever and have been linked to Oakland A's Mason Miller and Texas Rangers Kirby Yates. The team will also look to add some flamethrowing starters too, like Cubs right-hander Jameson Taillon, a former Yankee, so a reunion could be there. Or how about, in theory, AL Cy Young frontrunner Tariq Skubal? So, Joe, what do you think of the skipper's comments? I think he handled that situation well. Do you agree?
Totally agree. Yeah, that's, you want to put your guys at ease, make things as easy as possible, even though it's a difficult situation for some of them. I thought he handled that extremely well. And that's, I think what these players need to hear and see.
Just don't tell David Wells that, though. There was an article where he's not happy with Aaron Boone's buddy. I want to be friends with the players, because he said he thinks a lot of players get paid a lot of money nowadays, so they don't care if they're coddled and told that they're great all the time and whatever. Because David Wells said back in 1998 when I played with the Yankees, we lost the first 3 or 4 games, and was 3 to 4 games into the season, and Joe Torre didn't care. He called his players out and everything. He called me, Jeter, Bernie Williams, Paul O'Neill, everybody out, and we ended up winning the World Series. But see, David Wells has got to understand that was back when you could do that, and those players could handle it. These players now couldn't handle that. So that's why he's doing it the way he is.
Right. I mean, sometimes I still think you need to be a manager that calls you out and, lights a fire under your butt, every once in a while. And I think you still have to do that. And managers should not get criticized when they do, But again, it's whether it's now, whether it's 20 years ago, I think it's nice to have a manager like this, again, that shows he understands the stress of deadline week, and some players again feel that stress more than others. Guys like Aaron Judge and people like that know they're not going anywhere, Volpe, et cetera. But there's a lot of players that could be affected by that, and it's stressful. And it's nice to have a manager that's got your back and can empathize with that.
Exactly. So anyway, this was surprising. This story caught my eye when I researched it, or my producer researched it, actually. So the Yankees are a match for a superstar slugger, and it's a familiar one too. Could a former Yankees son shake up their roster? The Yankees offense has been playing well below expectations, but still have the caliber talent to win the World Series this year. The Yankees are linked Chicago Cubs first baseman. Yes, you heard this right. Cody Bellinger, the son of Hank Bellinger. The 29-year-old is still in his prime. It would be a short-term fill for Anthony Rizzo. Plus, having Bellinger on the team would be great, but why try to mess up the development of Ben Rice, who is in a slump but is still looking really good for a rookie and is still doing a lot more than Anthony Rizzo's done all year before he got hurt. Additionally, Rice is slowly becoming a power hitter for this team too. And even last night where he cracked that ball that would have been out for a home run. Oh, and Joe, you like to talk about popping it out of Yankee Stadium. Well, Michael Kay said Ben Rice said that would have been a home run there, but also in 7 other ballparks too.
Mm-hmm. That's what they said about the home run tonight, that Glaber hit. They said it would have been out of most stadiums. It wasn't a Yankee Stadium home run. Sometimes, not all home runs in Yankee Stadium are pop-ups.
Mm-hmm. I knew I could get you to, I know I could get you red pilled on that. Well, I tried. But...
That's it.
Mm-hmm. So, anyway, Joe, do you think the Yankees should try to go for Cody Bellinger? We already talked about not trying to add too much to the puzzle right now to win this year so that they can lower the payroll to be able to sign Soto and possibly have him team up with Dominguez next year too.
Yeah. Now, is Bellinger a left-handed hitter? Do you know?
Let me research it real quick.
I don't remember. But now, the Yankees have had good luck with former Cubs first baseman, right? I mean, Rizzo did well for them for a little while. So, somebody like Bellinger coming in, and if he's a left-handed hitter, again, we just talked about it. What do you got to do to hit a home run to right field at Yankee Stadium?
Hold on. Pop it up.
Pop it up. And Bellinger would be good at that. So, again, I'm just forgetting offhand if he's, a left-handed hitter. But even if he's not, again, like you said, the Yankees got to be careful financially. If they did pick him up, it would probably just be a rental. So again, that's something to think about. You don't want to give up too much.
He is a lefty.
He is a lefty.
Okay.
So, again, a good fit for Yankee Stadium, that pop-up left-handed hitter there. So, again, would he be a very good fit for the Yankees? Yes. But would he be a good fit financially? A little too expensive? That could be a question. If they think, again, they have a serious chance at the World Series, he would certainly be a major help with that and maybe worth going after. But it's going to be very interesting to see what they do in this next week. And again, you got to be prepared to make those offers, specifically to Soto later on. So you don't want too much to get in the way of that.
Exactly. So now we have 5 Yankees players to watch as they battle for the AL East title. It's obvious that if you've been watching the Yankees that Aaron Judge might win the AL MVP, but what about the other guys? No, not the movie, the 2010 movie with Mark Wahlberg and Samuel Jackson. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the other Yankees who've been contributing to a great start, but in different ways. Here are the top 5 Yankees to watch as they battle for the American League Championship. Number 1, DJ LeMahieu. Once a decorated and talented hitter for the Bronx Bombers, the third baseman is sunk almost down to new low heights. Let's give LeMahieu his fair shake, though. He's older now, has a big contract, and hasn't been healthy really or all season long. DJ knows, and Aaron Boone knows, the writing's on the wall, and he may end up playing with another team or retire in 2025.
How old is he?
DJ LeMahieu, I think he's like 34 or something.
Okay.
No, he's 30, might be 34, 36, around there.
36, okay.
Number 2, we have Anthony Rizzo. The Riz has been out of action for a month due to a forearm fracture suffered at Fenway. The first baseman has enjoyed long-term stability with the Yankees and is also a community leader. All good things must come to an end, though, as now it's time to pass the torch to either Ben Rice or a player that they get via the trade deadline or next year's free agency. Rizzo will be remembered for his solid play and also his community work as well. He should have his jersey number, retired by the Yankees. Joe, what are your thoughts on Rizzo's timeline and career?
Well, he's had an amazing career. I don't see his number being retired by the Yankees. I don't think he was there long enough and did enough to merit that. But still, if you're a Yankee fan, I think you got to be happy with him. Again, his time is probably coming to an end with them. Maybe his time in Major League Baseball coming to an end. I'm curious as to how old he is as well. But, he was the heart and soul of the Cubs. For so many years. He was with the Cubs when they were like, the worst team in baseball, developed with them and was a key part of their World Series championship team. So great career by Rizzo. And, he did the same thing in Chicago, great community leader. Good to see that he's done the same thing, coming over to New York. And, again, if this is how it ends, certainly, not a bad way to go out. Just, again, maybe not the stats that he wanted this year. And again, being out for a couple of months with the injury. But, if this is the end of an MLB career for Rizzo, I think you can look back very positively on that and, making positive contributions to both these teams here.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Next, we're going to move on to Anthony Volpe. What an up and down first half for the shortstop. He was promoted to the leadoff circle just 2 weeks into 2024 and was batting .288 with an 800 OPS. On the last game of the first half of the season, Volpe made a costly mistake that should have sealed the game, but because of that, the Orioles walked it off on the next bat with a 6-5 win. He was on pace to be an AL All-Star selection until that, but he has been playing better so far in the second half. So, Joe, what do you think of Volpe's play so far early in the second half of the season?
Yeah, well, you said it, up and down. And, he's still struggling a little bit, not playing as well as he was to start the season. But he's the type of guy that can get hot at any time and get back to, where he was in the beginning of the season. And I honestly think he'll do that.
Mm-hmm. Number 4, we have not David Wells, Austin Wells. Wells has been earning more playing time since Jose Trevino strained his quad. He is a solid backup catcher and has spelled minutes for Trevino as well. The second-year catcher could easily be the Yankees starting catcher with a strong play so far. The Yanks also called up catcher Carlos Narvaez from Scranton and recorded his first MLB hit last Saturday. Wells is in the driver's seat right now until Trevino gets back as the main catcher heading into the second half of the season. Joe, what are your thoughts on Austin Wells' elevated playing time and increased role as the main catcher right now?
Yeah, he's taking it and running with it. He's playing solid. He's catching a good game. And, talk about somebody that really didn't contribute much in the beginning of the season. And he's really doing well now. I saw him, on a few nationally televised games. Think he hit a, home run in one of those games. So, he's been solid. And, definitely, even when Trevino gets back, maybe earning himself a little bit more time, and again, to because he's earned it, but to give, Trevino, more breaks and everything as well. So, is definitely stepping up his game with this opportunity.
And don't forget, he's just like Anthony Volpe and Jason Dominguez. He's only in his second year as a pro. He was a rookie that got called up with Dominguez and Emerson Pereira, and Anthony Volpe played the whole year, but he joined Volpe up last year.
Right.
So both those guys came back, and he hasn't really had a sophomore slump. He's played well for a second-year catcher.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. And number 5, Carlos the Magic Man Rodon. The lefty Wonder Man had a hot start to 2024 with a 9-2 record and a 2.93 ERA through 14 starts. Then the 2023 version of Rodon came back as he finished with an atrocious 0-5 record with a 9.62 ERA in 6 starts. Rodon can clean that up. Opponents, were hitting .336 against the Southpaw with a 10.66 OPS. Rodon can clean that up easily if he chooses to do something about it. He does show toughness, though, wanting to always finish out the 5th inning of games. So you can't fault him for that. So, Joe, how can Rodon start out with a strong start to his second half?
Well, I can tell you how, because didn't he have a good game the other day? His last start, He had a decent game, or at least he had a lot of strikeouts.
Yeah, he
Now,
did.
he can thank me for that because I bet money that he would get less than a certain amount of outs and a certain amount of strikeouts. And of course, he went above both of those. So he can get better by me continuing to put money on his poor performance. No, just seriously, just go back to what worked in the beginning of the season. He's shown that brilliance, even though he went through a very bad stretch. He can, just go with what worked in the beginning of the season, and I think he has the talent, to get back on track.
Yes, I agree. It is now that time in our show for our question of the week segment. So, Joe, would you like to give it a try?
I would love to give it a try.
Okay, Joe, here is your question. Can you guess which MLB team this is? This team is tied for the longest running playoff drought. They've had 2 MVP winners in that range of time. Is it the Angels, the Royals, the Pirates, or the Tigers?
Oh, wow. I'd have to do some calculating. If I had more time for this, I would give you a definite answer. I'm leaning on a couple of teams. Now, you said the Royals. I think the Royals last made it in 2015. The Pirates, I think, last made it in 15. Let's see. We said the Angels, the Tigers. I know the Tigers won a division. I'm trying to figure out. I think Trout's been to the playoffs once with the Angels, and they got swept 3-0 in that series. So, and the fact that you're saying there was MVPs involved, which I think Trout would have been. So I'm going to go with the California, Anaheim, Los Angeles Angels.
You got it. It was the Angels.
All right. Was it 2014? Does it have the answer there? 2014?
I don't have that, but I believe it was
Okay.
2014. Let me scoop that up real quick.
Yeah, because I think the other teams, again, the Pirates, I believe it was 15. The Royals won the World Series in 15, and I don't think they've been to the playoffs since. And the Tigers, they won their division.
It was 2014. You were correct.
2014. Okay. So, yeah, both those teams, it wasn't much more time than, again, the Pirates or the Royals, or even, again, the Tigers. Like I said, I believe they won their division at some point in there, and, haven't been back since. But, all right. Glad I got that one. And the Angels don't look like they're going anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, now let's turn it back over to you, Joe. One more time for some Mets news. Joe?
Yeah, I've pretty much given you all I have, as far as, what's coming up this week, as far as how are they going to play at home, where they've struggled all year, but playing better. Playing better against teams like the Rockies and some lesser competition there. But again, I think if the Mets, want to prove that they're going to stay in this playoff race all year and maybe even stay in playoff position, they're going to have to beat teams like the Braves and the Twins, in their home park. So, and then after that, I think next week they go on a California trip. I think they're going to play the Angels that we were just talking about. And then I think Colorado and St. Louis, just one game against the Cardinals to make up a rainout. So again, Mets play well on the road. I mean, we're taking a look ahead. We'll talk more about this next week's show. But, a 6-game road trip or 7-game road trip with 6 of those against some of the worst teams in the league, the Angels and the Rockies. So, an opportunity to get ahead, but they can really put themselves in solid position. Again, go 4-3 on this homestand. That's fine for me. Obviously, we can be greedy and try for more than that. But 4-3, I'll gladly take that.
Okay. Now, Joe, here's a human interest story that it blows my mind, and it's just incredible. I've never seen this in the history of baseball. This is historic right here. How about the Mariners drafting a switch pitcher? No, not a switch hitter, a switch pitcher. Allen Iverson, we're talking about a switch pitcher, not a switch hitter, switch pitcher. Anyway, it is more likely you see switch hitters in everyday baseball. But what about switch pitchers? Gerangelo Clinhante is a story that will be passed from this generation and beyond, since really he's the first guy in the generation of baseball to probably do this. But well, he naturally throws left-handed. Clinhante started throwing right-handed as well as 6 years old. He wanted to mimic his dad, who caught in a pro league in the Netherlands. The Milwaukee Brewers drafted Clinhante out of high school in 2022, but Clinhante took his talents to the college game at Mississippi State. He turned a horrible first start around, giving up 45 earned runs with an 8.10 ERA to 113 strikeouts and 3.67 ERA. There are not too many switch pitchers quite like Clinhante in the MLB, but what he does with it, he could turn him into an all-star and be a trailblazer for this years to come. You think Paul Skeens is the greatest thing in baseball right now? Imagine this kid if he actually pulls us off in the MLB, pitching with both hands. I don't care how fast you throw it. If he can throw both of it with movement and speed. No offense, Paul Skeens. You're still the greatest thing in baseball. But
right now he is, yeah.
So, Joe, what do you think of this human interest story like this, a switch pitcher?
You know, it reminds me, too, I thought we saw this once before, a long time ago, and I apologize, I can't come up with a name. Maybe I'm just imagining this. But I thought maybe we've seen this once before. Obviously, it's somebody who really didn't make a lot of noise in MLB. And again, maybe I'm just imagining things. But I would love to see something like this. You know, I mean, you know, I never really thought I'd see a hitter / pitcher like we did, with Ohtani, and hopefully he can get back to doing that.
Babe Ruth actually did that for a little while, way back in the day before he became just a first baseman. He was a two-way like that.
Right. So we've seen that. Again, it's very rare. But we've seen that, and like I said, I'm at least imagining anyway that I've seen somebody like this, a switch pitcher before. Again, they didn't last very long, if at all. But I would love to see something like this. And you're talking about history and something, adding a new element to the game. I would love to see somebody like that succeed. We've seen other things. We saw a guy, with one arm pitch successfully, in the league. Jim Abbott, pitched with the Angels, with one arm, and somehow managed to switch the glove and pitch and do what he needed to do. And again, did it successfully. One of my favorite memories is going to the old Yankee Stadium. This was around 1990.
It was 1993 when he did that.
Oh, okay. He didn't pitch a no-hitter, but I saw Jim Abbott pitch live at Yankee Stadium. It was that was early 90s, and he pitched a 4-0 shutout against the Yankees. That's when pitchers actually stayed in the game and got shutouts.
Mm-hmm.
So that was definitely a highlight for me to see this, one-armed pitcher, throw a 4-0 shutout, or I don't know if it was a 4-0 or 4-hit shutout at Yankee Stadium. So it was pretty incredible to see that live. So I've seen things like that. Again, He's the only one that I can think of that ever was in that situation. So, again, to see a switch pitcher would be truly amazing, and I certainly hope we get the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, but like I said, 1993 is when Abbott hit the pitched the no hitter.
Yeah, that wasn't against the Yankees, I don't think, right?
He
I don't.
played for the Yankees. He did it
Oh,
with
he
the
was on.
Yankees.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, this was when
You
he
forgot to mention he played for the Yankees. I mean,
I forgot about that. This game that I saw was when he was with the
I'm just
Angels.
kidding. I'm not mad at you. I was just joking.
No, I can't believe I forgot that he was on the Yankees, but
It's okay. People are human.
I forget things more often these days, so forgive me.
Not everybody's Tom Brady or Nick Saban or Bill Belichick. Let's remember that.
Right. But no, I would love to see this switch pitcher be successful.
Yeah, and I think it will because, like I said, you're starting to see now, and with Paul Skeens last year, rookies are making huge, like real quick trips to the MLB faster than they've ever had, and like they're even making the minor leagues real quick and even getting called up through the system. And maybe that'll happen with this kid. He does it in the minor leagues and gets an early call up.
Yeah, you said Seattle drafted him?
I had actually originally the Brewers drafted him in 2022. He went in the 2022 draft, but he chose to go to college and play a year there, and then he re-entered the draft again in 2023 and became a first-round pick.
Gotcha.
Right, yeah. Brewers in 2022, and then the Mariners drafted him in 224.
Okay.
So, anyway, Joe, I don't know if you know it, but our brilliant commissioner, Rob Manfred, is back at it again with another creative idea that he thinks in his head is genius, and that if you question it, we're all not intelligent. So, but it actually doesn't look like a bad idea if you do it right. That's the thing, though. They're going to do a thing called Rivalry Weekend in the MLB. There is a new question on everybody's mind, and the question is, what is a rivalry? Last Thursday, the MLB announced a special rivalry weekend for the 2025 schedule taking place from May 16th to the 18th. But if baseball purists thought they'd be looking for real rivalries, they'd be wrong. That means no Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers versus Giants, Chicago Cubs versus St. Louis Cardinals. The MLB wants to do these rivals geographically. Like perhaps the Chicago Cubs versus Chicago White Sox, or Washington Nationals and Baltimore Orioles, or like you saw Pittsburgh Pirates and Phillies this year, maybe Yankees and Mets, Yankees, Blue Jays.
Okay.
Something like that. So, and it's going to be a showcase. The league swung and missed, I think, with the proposed idea. But if the ratings differ, they will most likely display this event again in 2026. Maybe we'll see the Yankees and Red Sox then. So, Joe, what do you think of Rob Commissioner Manfred's attempt to try to be more innovative here with the younger players and a younger audience with this kind of idea, if you do it right?
Yeah, not a bad idea. I mean, give it a try. It's not going to screw with the schedule, or it's not going to give anybody disadvantages and things like that. So, but if I'm Rob Manfred, why don't you try to fix the playoff format that's broken, or, come up with some other solutions to maybe things that are a little more pressing, I guess. But again, no criticism with this. I mean, it's anything that you can add to make the regular season a little more fun. And again, that's not messing with the rhythm of the season. It's not going to give anybody, a disadvantage. And especially if they're geographically, lined up, then, it's not going to create any major travel issues, as long as afterwards, if Washington's playing Baltimore, don't make one of these teams go to Los Angeles afterwards, um, just kind of make sure you're smart with it. And like you said, if you can do it right, maybe this is something you can build on a regular basis into the schedule, or, at least, a couple of times a year. So like the fact that he's thinking and he's trying, and even if it doesn't work, again, this is something that, again, it's low risk and maybe high reward. Who knows? So I like the idea, and I like the fact that he's trying, to come up with stuff like this and make things work.
I know we've criticized him in the past, but I will give him credit though for realizing we needed a pitch clock and bigger bases to make the game more exciting and athletic again, make games go quicker. I mean, he does get credit for that, even though he may have done more bad than good, but
yeah, he should definitely get credit for those, because again, that might have saved the game. Maybe I'm being a little over dramatic with that, but at least for me as a fan, I was losing interest and watching fewer games. And then once the pitch clock, I'm enjoying this baseball season more than any I can remember in a long time. I really am. And of course that doesn't have everything to do with the pitch clock, but it's a much better game to watch than it was, a few years ago. And definitely he deserves credit for that.
Even the first year when they did it last year, they were promoting it like crazy every commercial break. Remember,
Right.
They said the pitch clock making baseballs faster and exciting with quicker games with the pitch clock and the bigger bases. They promoted that well, though. They may not promote their stars very well, but at least they're promoting an important aspect, which is not make fans bored to death when watching baseball.
Exactly. And I say it all the time. It was like I stopped watching because, again, especially as I go to bed earlier and earlier, at a 7 o'clock game, half the time I wouldn't start watching because I knew darn well I wasn't going to see the end of the game. Now I start watching a game at 7 o'clock, and I know, that game's probably going to be over by 9:30, maybe 10 o'clock, and I can watch it, and I'm going to see the end of the game without seeing 100 pitching changes and, guys, doing whatever in the batter's box, and the pitcher killing bugs on the mound or doing whatever. And now again, the game's moving and there's action and it's fun to watch. So
kind of like the old days when there wasn't a pitch clock. That's how baseball was. The pitcher and the batter would be in the box, and like you said,
the pitcher did something weird. He caught the ball and he got his signal and he threw it right away. So now,
you're seeing that now with the pitch clock, though, too.
Exactly. And that's the way it should be. People criticize it because they say baseball shouldn't be rushed. But, again, we shouldn't have to watch for, a 3.5 to 4 hour baseball game just because guys won't move. This is the way baseball is supposed to be played. And I'm all for it. And, I'm thankful that we kind of have a good game back.
And don't forget the bigger bases are cool too, because it's bringing back stealing like the Ricky Henderson days where they played with bigger bases back in those days.
Yeah, and baseball, one of the things that attracts me to baseball is the strategy and more than other sports perhaps. And now we have some of that back, thanks to these recent changes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I know we sound like broken records, but we just love it that much.
We'll say it all the time, but it's true,
Yeah, that's why I give both the MLB and the NBA credit. They may not promote their stars well, but they definitely promoted the NBA promoted the in-season tournament well, and baseball promoted the pitch clock and everything. So Good job on that, guys. So anyway, it looks like we're coming to the end of our show. So, Joe, where can we find you in the social media world on July 24th, 2024? And on another note, how fast did time go? It was already the first day of training camp for the Bills, even though that's another sport.
That is crazy. Now, again, I'm a teacher on summer vacation, so I want time to go as slow as possible right now. But anyway, you can find me on Twitter, X, Joe Dell Sports. talking about things, and we'll certainly be talking about football very soon here.
Well, you can find me on Bills Chat 1 at Bills Mafia Chat, and also at Jamie Muller, the unbiased journalist at DJ Dog Tags, and theforkball.com, where I write about all sports. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, hit that subscribe button on our YouTube page, Driving to the Top Productions, to listen to next week's episode of the Subway Conversation Chat with Jamie and Joe. Don't forget to tune into our YouTube page at 8 o'clock p.m. or whatever, our Facebook page, my X page, Driving the Top's X page, or wherever you listen to your podcast. And also you can catch me and Joe very frequently or mostly on Tuesday night open mics on Driving to the Top Productions. We just did our 3rd episode last night, and it's very cool, very fun. It's kind of like it's a bunch of guys basically trying to do stand-up comedy, but talking anything in sports. Anything goes. Any sport, anything. We go until the last person stands. It's really, really cool. So you could listen to that on every Tuesday night at 9 o'clock and Driving to the Top Productions. So thank you very much for listening, folks. And as SNY would say, get your New York sports here next week, every Wednesday at 8 o'clock p.m. See you next week, folks.
Have a good week, everybody.
Bye.